Hey, what's up everybody? Two questions that I get asked a lot are, how can I go beyond the sounds that are built into my EVI or other wind controller, and what sounds do you like to use? Well, I'm going to try to answer both these questions in this video, but first I want to share a personal but related story that a lot of people seem to be able to relate to. When I first started playing the EVI about 8 years ago, I didn't actually know that much about it. I had just seen videos of people playing it, and I kind of just thought it was a cool electric sax. Beyond that, I didn't really know what it was capable of. I didn't understand or even know a lot about the music technology stuff that goes hand in hand with it. I didn't know what MIDI was. I didn't know what a MIDI controller was, even though I was playing one. I didn't know what a VST was. I didn't even know how a synthesizer worked. And I don't think I even realized that a synthesizer and a keyboard aren't the same thing. Anyway, I think I was in university when one of my friends encouraged me to try connecting my EVI to GarageBand and try out some of the sounds that way. This was cool because it was the first time that I really considered the fact that I could use other sounds beyond the ones that were built into my EVI-5000. I was pretty disappointed though because none of them responded to my breath the way that the built-in ones did. Eventually I came across a very well-known wind controller website called Patchman Music, which totally blew my mind. It was the first time that I found out that there were other wind controllers that existed. It's also where I found the solution to that GarageBand issue that I was describing where none of the sounds would respond to my breath. Because Patchman very helpfully sells software that is designed to make this happen. At that point in my life, I had no idea where to even begin learning to do this sort of synth programming on my own, so I just went ahead and got one of these sound banks, which is actually going to be the first one that I talk about. This is the first synthesizer that I ever really got into using with my EVI. I chose this one because, as someone who was already using an Apple computer, the ES2 is a pretty affordable option since it's included in Logic and MainStage. Patchman Music makes a really incredible soundbank for this synth, which I would highly recommend if looking at this soft synth makes you feel a little intimidated. Anyway, this was my go-to synth for a long time, but one major downside to it is that you can only use it if you're also using Logic or MainStage. I haven't used this synth much since I started using Ableton Live as my main music software, but it's still really good. And it's good enough that I used it pretty much exclusively for several years. This plugin came out relatively recently. It was created and designed by Davidson Carpenter Audio and Multimedia specifically for use with wind controllers. I was actually lucky enough to be a beta tester for the synth, which was a really fun experience. This is the most affordable plugin on the list by a long shot, but don't let the price fool you. This is a really powerful synth. If you still need to be convinced, check out this video of Eddie Uwe playing through the preset list. Also, if you're curious, the creator Davidson Carpenter did an interview with Itai Weissman over on Itai's channel, so I'll put a link to both those videos in the description. One final thing to note is that this is a software plugin, so it will need to be hosted inside of a digital audio workstation like GarageBand or Ableton Live. Unlike the ES2 synth that I talked about first, you don't need to buy a separate sound bank to get this to work with your EVI, which is a huge plus. So like the EVI-NER, this is another plugin that was specifically designed for wind controllers, so no additional soundbank purchases are necessary. It's a physical modeling synth that does a really incredible job creating organic sounds. The best way that I can describe it is that it creates sounds that sound like real acoustic instruments that don't exist yet. It has a ton of really cool reed sounds and flute sounds and brass sounds, and even some really nice synthesizer sounds as well. This is truly the most unique and interesting synth that I've ever used, and playing it is always a really cool experience. Another cool thing about this synth is that it's now available for iPad, and you can even try out 6 of the presets for free with the iPad app. As always, more info is available in the description. Serum is a crazy powerful synthesizer that can produce a wide variety of really cool sounds. It's one of the ones that I use the most next to the EVI-NER. Like the ES2, I'd recommend buying a sound bank if you're not comfortable programming the synth to work with your wind controller. The only sound bank that I'm aware of for wind controllers is made by my friend Lukash over at the Art of Wind Synth. I used a couple of his sounds in this video if you want to check it out. This last one that I'm going to talk about is a great option for iPad users. Like Serum and ES2, I got a third-party patch bank to make my life easier, this one from Mark Steiner, who, fun fact, has a family connection to Niall Steiner, who is one of the most important figures in wind controller history. So there are probably hundreds of other Softsynths out there that work great with wind controllers, and what I have listed so far is just what I happen to use. Hopefully, if you're new to this, these recommendations will help you find something that works for you. Hardware synths are an option as well, of course. I don't own any yet, so I can't really recommend any. And anyway, I'm pretty happy with the Softsynths that I have. By the way, there's a couple more synths that I use occasionally that I didn't talk about in this video. I've listed those and the ones that I did talk about in a Google Sheets doc that should be linked in the description. Anyway, that's it for this video. Please like and subscribe if you found this video helpful or interesting. I'm not really trying to be YouTube famous or anything, but it would be nice to monetize eventually, so yeah, smash that like button. Anyway, peace out. Thank you.